Picture this. It's October 7th, 2008. You're on a state-of-the-art Airbus A330, cruising high above the Indian Ocean. Everything's perfectly normal, and then suddenly, the plane decides it wants to kill everyone on board. The pilots are completely blindsided, fighting a machine that is seemingly turned against them. We're going to unpack the incredible and terrifying story of Qantas Flight 72.
That is the sound the people on board described. I mean, 1 minute you're just cruising along, totally calm at 37,000 feet. The very next second, absolute chaos. For the crew, the galley floor just vanished from under them, and anyone not strapped in was violently, and I mean violently, thrown into the ceiling of the aircraft.
Okay, so this whole terrifying event happened in two distinct phases. First, there's this incredibly abrupt, violent nosedive. The pilots, to their credit, fight back and manage to level the plane out. But then, get this, less than 3 minutes later, while they're desperately trying to figure out what just happened, the plane does it again. This wasn't just some bad turbulence, The plane itself was making these moves. So let's talk about that first dive for a second. To put it in perspective, everyone inside experienced negative 0.8 G. What does that mean? Well, for a few absolutely horrifying seconds, gravity basically reversed. People weren't just gently lifted from their seats, oh no, they were launched upwards with enough force to break bones, cause deep cuts, and inflict really serious spinal injuries. Just imagine that.
All right, so what in the world was going on during that flight from Singapore to Perth? The pilots were literally fighting a ghost in the machine. It's like there was this hostile force inside one of the most advanced jets ever built, and it was actively ignoring them, trying to throw the plane out of the sky.
Just try to imagine the sheer chaos in that cockpit. Not only are the pilots fighting to control the plane, but their own instruments are screaming at them with just nonsense. They're getting a stall warning and an overspeed warning at the exact same time. Now, for anyone who knows a little bit about flying, you know those two things are polar opposites. It's physically impossible for both to be true at once.
So when the Australian Transport Safety Bureau started investigating, they pretty quickly realized this wasn't pilot error. In fact, it was the opposite. The pilots were heroes who saved the plane. Now, all the evidence started pointing to one place, a stream of really bad, corrupted data coming from a single supercritical piece of hardware. And that piece of hardware? It's called an ADIU, or Air Data Inertial Reference Unit. The easiest way to think about it is like the plane's inner ear and its entire sensory nervous system all rolled into one little box. It's the thing that tells the plane's main brain, the flight computers, everything it needs to know, where it is, how fast it's going, what its attitude is. And because it's so critical, there are always 3 of them. It's a triple redundant system for safety.
And this, right here, is where the real mystery kicks in. The investigators discovered that one of these units, ADIRU-1, had just gone completely haywire. It started spitting out these sudden, wild spikes of totally wrong data. But here's the kicker. The other 2, ADIRU-2 and 3, were working perfectly fine. Now, in a triple redundant system, the 2 good ones should have just outvoted the bad one, right? The system should have ignored it. So why didn't it?
Well, it turns out the answer wasn't in the hardware at all. It was buried deep inside the software of the flight control computers. There was this tiny, previously unknown design flaw, a bug in the code, basically, that created this perfect storm, a 1 in a million scenario that let that one single faulty ADIRU completely fool the entire system.
Okay, to really get how the system got fooled, we have to look at the actual data. So right before everything went wrong, things were looking totally normal. The ADIR is chugging along, processing the plane's altitude, 37,012 feet, and sending that number off to the flight computers. Just a normal day at the office. But inside that data stream, something was about to go very, very wrong. And then, this really bizarre internal glitch happens. The ADIRU's little computer brain basically gets its labels all mixed up. It takes the number for the altitude, that 37,012, but it slaps the label for angle of attack on it. So when the flight computer gets this messed up piece of data, it reads an angle of attack of over 50 degrees. I mean, that's insane. That would mean the plane's nose was pointing almost straight up, stalling like crazy. Now, you have to give the Airbus engineers credit. They actually thought about stuff like this, random data spikes. So they built a safety feature right into the flight control computer. The idea was simple. If the computer sees a sudden, crazy spike in the data, it's programmed to just ignore it. It holds on to the last good value it saw for exactly 1.2 seconds, just to let the weird glitch pass. It was a really smart defense, but it had one tiny fatal loophole. So how did this brilliant safety system fail so spectacularly? Well, the first crazy data spike comes in. The computer does exactly what it's supposed to do. It throws up its hand, says nope, and starts its 1.2-second ignore timer. But the whole problem was in the timing. At the exact microsecond that 1.2-second window closed, a second identical spike of bad data hit the system. The computer's blinders came off right at that moment, and it saw that second spike not as another glitch, but as terrifyingly real valid data.
And the result was catastrophic. The flight computer, now absolutely convinced the plane was about to fall out of the sky, kicked into its high angle of attack protection mode. It completely took over. It seized control and jammed the plane's nose down to save it from a stall that wasn't even happening. For 2 whole seconds, which is an eternity in this situation, it completely ignored the pilot's commands as he was yanking back on the stick, fighting for control. The machine was flying the plane now, and it was trying to crash it.
Okay, but this just leads to an even deeper, even weirder question. What on earth could cause a super reliable, fault-tolerant piece of hardware like an ADIRU to fail in such a specific, bizarre way? What was the ghost in the machine?
I mean, the investigators looked at everything. They thought, okay, maybe it was electromagnetic interference. The plane was flying near a powerful naval communication base. But nope, the field strength was way, way too low, like 1,700 times lower than what the plane is certified for. They checked passenger electronics, phones, laptops, you name it, ruled it all out. The real trigger, it turns out, was something way more exotic.
The leading theory is something called a single event effect, or SEE. And this is going to sound like science fiction, but stick with me. Essentially, a single high-energy particle from deep space, a cosmic ray, shot down and struck one single microscopic transistor inside the ADIRU's computer chip. Just one. That tiny impact was just enough to flip a single bit of data from a 0 to a 1, causing that whole label mix-up error we talked about. It was literally a 1 in a million shot, a tiny bolt of lightning from the cosmos that almost destroyed an airliner.
So, in the end, this terrifying crisis was solved by 2 things working together. First, the incredible skill of the human pilot in the cockpit, and second, a critical software patch from the engineers that would make sure this could never, ever happen again.
And you really get a sense of that life-or-death struggle right from Captain Kevin Sullivan himself. I mean, think about it. He was facing an automated system that had completely gone rogue, a plane that was fighting him. But as he said, you can either give in to that or you can fight it, and he chose to fight. And thankfully, Captain Sullivan's background as a former US Navy fighter pilot was absolutely critical here. He had that training, that deep instinct to trust his own senses over a computer that was clearly lying to him. He disconnected the autopilot, kept the plane in full manual control, and then did something really smart. He performed these wide S-turns at a safe altitude just to see if the plane was still responding correctly. He brought that battered jet and every single person on board down safely at a remote airbase in Australia. Just incredible airmanship.
And what about the long-term fix? Well, the engineers at Airbus went back and completely redesigned the software. They closed that 1.2-second loophole for good. The new system is way smarter. Now it's constantly watching all 3 ADIRUs, and if it sees one of them starting to act weird or erratic, it doesn't just ignore it for a second. Nope, it basically votes it off the island for the rest of the flight, relying only on the 2 good units. Problem solved.
You know, the story of Qantas Flight 72 it's a chilling reminder of how complex our automated world is becoming. Think about this. This specific failure was so ridiculously rare, it had only happened 3 times in over 128 million hours of flight. And it really leaves you with a pretty big question, right? As we put more and more of our trust into code, to fly our planes, to drive our cars, to run our lives, you have to wonder, what other little hidden ghosts, what other 1 in a million flaws are just lying dormant, waiting for that perfect moment to show up?